They're absolutely gorgeous, aren't they? My name is Marlene. Welcome to our home and garden channel. So guys, today we're going to take a look at how you can get an abundance of lily blooms no matter what kind you have. We're going to take a look at how to care for them. You can have the best results. We'll also plant a few just to give you an idea. And you'll get to see some that are not true lilies, but they make perfect additions to your garden. So the first one we're looking at would be the Easter lily, and boy, do I love these. I've had these in my garden for maybe over 20 years. I think they're so beautiful. Typically, you'll see them, you get them as gifts or purchase them during the Easter season. And these are usually in those beautiful containers, and boy, do we love them. They're usually forced, though, to bloom, for Easter because the true blooming time for them is actually late May and early June. But don't throw these away, guys. You can plant them after the flowers fade, and you can have lilies growing for many years. So lilies, they actually belong to the family Liliaceae. These are true lilies, the Easter lilies, and they grow in growing zones 5 to 8, meaning that they will be able to come back. After the winter, they die down a little bit, and then they come back up every spring for you. And as you can see, pollinators love them. Little ants are going right there, and they just smell so sweet. I just absolutely love Easter lilies. I think they're just so beautiful. They are perennials, and they do spread out. So over, as time goes by, you'll get more and more of these beautiful plants. Now, as far as planting them goes, like I was saying earlier, you can plant some of them that you would have gotten from little gifts like those. But thing to bear in mind is that when you're placing your plants, that they like full sun. They like 6 to 8 hours of sunlight per day, so they will need to be in a sunny location. To ensure you get lots of blooms, you'll want to make sure that after they bloom, you allow the leaves to get at least a pale yellow color. So that way, or I should say a pale green color, so that way you know that they have done enough photosynthesis after blooming. So the leaves are producing that food that's going to get stored in the bulbs, and they'll come up the following year. So that way, you'll have them coming back year after year, and they do multiply. If you are trying to get seeds, this is typically what the seed head looks like, but bear in mind that if you do plant them from seeds, it will take several years for you to get any blooms. So for me personally, I think the best option is just to go in and cut those off and allow the plant to use its energy, not for seed production, but to get stronger. So the following year, you'll have more come up. And when you're planting them, you typically want to plant them in the early fall before the first hard freeze, a few weeks before. And you'll want to allow about 3 inches, above it, cover about 3 inches above with some well draining soil. And there is no need for any, like slow release fertilizer or anything like that, because there's enough food in the bulbs. Unless the soil in your area is of a poorer quality, then you'll want to do that. And when you plant them, you'll typically want to add mulch to it. I'd say typically about 1 to 2 inches of mulch, maybe 1.5 to 2 inches. And that way what happens is that in the winter, they're kept warm. And then in the summer, it helps to keep weeds, so it also helps to retain moisture, so you don't have to water them as frequently. And they don't take that much watering, to be honest. Pretty low maintenance plants, lilies are. For more details regarding the lilies, I did create a playlist for you for lilies for previous videos that I did. And you can always check that out at the end to get more information about these wonderful flowers. Moving on to the next one, that would be Asiatic lilies. And they look pretty close to the Easter lilies, but they're not. And what you notice is that the blooms, instead of pointing sideways like the Easter lilies, that they point upwards. They also tend to be a little bit thicker in terms of the stems and all of that. And they grow in a wide variety of zones. So in zones 3 to 8, they're cold hardy there. That means that they'll come back, the following year and for many years to come. And it's good to buy them when you are, to look for multiple stems if you can get them. Now, these are some I have here. They're not as sturdy as those. They're very healthy, though. These are some Easter lilies in front of them. They're a little bit slender because they're in part sun. So they really do need to get 6 to 8 hours of sunlight. These are being blocked a little bit by my myrtle tree, which is fine. They still do well, and they've been there for many years, and I absolutely love them. So when the flowers have faded or you're seeing any yellowing of leaves there, it's good to go in and just get a nice pair of sharp pruners and snip them off. So again, that they can put more energy into producing more flowers and for the following year. Plus, it also, makes the plant look a lot nicer and just cleaner overall. For pests and diseases, you want to spray them with something like neem oil. And for the pruning, I like to use these sharp pair of pruners right here. And it has a safety on there. Because they're soft tissue, you want to make sure that the pruners are sharp enough so that way it gives them a clean cut, because you'll find that, if they are not sharp enough and the plant gets, jagged a little bit, then it's more likely to get pests and diseases coming in. Now, a close cousin to them would be oriental lilies. They look very, very similar. These are so gorgeous, and I'll link them in the description box if you wanted to get any of those. But the difference between them is that they point sideways as well, too, like your Easter lilies, while the Asiatic ones point upwards. Moving on to the next one, that would be daylilies. And aren't these gorgeous? The color is just so beautiful and so striking. There are over 70 different varieties of daylilies, guys. There are so many different colors, and they grow in different heights and all of that. Like the other lilies, they are perennials too, and these, they grow in growing zones 2 to 11. I think this one is just so beautiful. And one thing to bear in mind is that the blooms only last for a day, and that's why they're called daylilies. They work perfectly well, with other plants that also like sun, because they are sun lovers as well too. 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight per day. So they're growing with some gladiolus right here. And boy, do they look gorgeous. And you can see how they're growing here with some knockout roses as well. So they want to be paired with, plants that like sun like that. And over here now, my husband and I, we planted some daylilies for a dear friend of ours. She's kind of like a mother figure to us. So we were quite happy to do it. And typically they bloom from, I'd say from, spring right through to the fall season, and they multiply year after year because, they are perennials like the others that you saw earlier. And just be sure the soil is level, with the surrounding soil. Make sure to cover it over with a little bit of, your your garden soil and mulch. It's good to put a little mulch over there for the same reasons that we discussed before. And I just wanted to take a moment to invite you to subscribe to our channel if you have never done so before. My husband and I, we do lots of gardening topics. We go over garden DIYs. We show you what's at the garden centers. We also go over common mistakes that we and others may have made so that you can learn from them and have an easier garden experience. And if you haven't heard from us for a while, guys, be sure to stop by because we do weekly videos, and tapping the bell twice definitely helps. Moving on to number 4, and that would be calla lilies. And these are not true lilies, even though they are called that. And this one is just has such a striking color. These were given to me by one of my neighbors for Mother's Day. Like how you would get the Easter lilies sometimes. They gave me that, and I went ahead and planted it, and it's been 2 years now, and it's been doing so well. And there are many different colors that are available. You can see like your pink. Some of them have 2 tones. They're just so, so gorgeous. And they combine very well with other flowers as well too. These are some spirea that are right here. And they both like full sun, so they work well there. But what I'll say about calla lilies is that they also are good for part shade, and in some cases they may even prefer a part shade where they're getting 4 to 6 hours of sunlight per day. As long as you don't have them in the shade, they should pretty much be okay and give you a fair amount of blooms. They do belong to the family called arum, and they're actually they're in the same family as anthurium. So instead of being closer to lilies because they're called that name, they're closer to these. And if you look at the anthuriums, you can kind of figure why. There's similarities between them. And they're growing zones 9 to 10. And you can see how they're looking gorgeous right there. And they're perennials as well too, so they do come back year after year. And they do need to be in well-drained soil just to make sure they're nice and healthy. They're pretty disease resistant and pest resistant, but it's always good just to keep an eye out to make sure, and be sure to cut off your spent blooms when they're faded. And over here you can see how they combine beautifully with some other plants. We move on to the next one, and that would be crinum. Crinum is also another one that people typically think it's a lily, but it's not. And just look how beautiful they are. They kind of remind me of the oriental lilies with the little stripes that they have in the center. And when the flowers fade, you'll want to go in and just, take those out so they can have more blooms coming in for the rest of the season. And these are actually closer. They're in the amaryllis family, so they're actually closer to your amaryllis that you get at like Christmas time. And believe it or not, guys, they're also pretty close to your daffodils. And they all smell so sweet that I can certainly understand why they would be in the same family. These are quite often passed down from generation to generation in the south and the southeastern United States because they keep coming back year after year. You want to make sure you plant these with a reasonable amount of space. I'd say maybe about 2 feet minimum apart because they do spread out, over the years, and you don't want them to be close together getting pests and diseases like that. If you have just one, guys, one is enough, to be honest, because they're just so beautiful. These are my neighbors, and I was so glad when she told me that they were blooming. So I said, let me go and take a look, and they were so beautiful. I was not disappointed at all. So gorgeous. This is another type of crinum here, and this one will actually be even more tropical than the one that you just saw a while ago. These are, like maybe my people that are in, my viewers that are in, like, southern Florida, central Florida, maybe even like in some of the islands, they'll get these there. You have the white ones, the pink ones, and they grow pretty tall and they spread out, as you can see. So you will need to put these at a, fairly distance, at least 2 feet. I would say nothing less than that. Moving on to the next one, that would be lily of the Nile, also called agapanthus. And they grow from growing zone 6 to 11. And you may see them in different growing zones. It just means that they're hardy in this area, meaning that they'll come back the following year. These also spread out there, get pretty tall, pretty wide. You can see pollinators love them. When you're buying them, you would typically want to get them when they're just opening out so they can last for a longer time. And these also need to be, I'd say, a minimum of about 2 feet apart or so that way they can spread out and be their best. Typically, they come in the purple color, but as you can see, also have the white ones as well too. And they like to have, not to be like bone dry, the soil around them. These require a little bit more watering than some of the other lily types. Moving on to number 7, this one is truly tropical, growing zones 9 to 11. So for my people in like, Louisiana, like Florida, and those are the places that, the islands, these will work perfectly well. And they are okay being in the shade. These are my mom's. She's had them for many years. And I should say she had them for many years. And they're just so beautiful. And they like hard shade, but ideally in shade, they'll be just as fine. Moving on to the number 8, and that would be peace lilies. And these are quite often grown as houseplants, and these are not true lilies either. The blood lily isn't, and neither is this one. And they're so beautiful. They really make you feel like there's peace and calm around you. Very tropical, so they're in growing zones 10B to 12, because if you have them, like out in your garden, you're not going to make it if you get hard freezes or even temperatures that drop below, I'd say 50 degrees Fahrenheit, your cooler temperatures. And these, they come back for many years. So you can always grow them, like, in a shaded area where that gets enough, not indirect light outdoors, and they'll be fine. But quite often you'll see them indoors, preferably by, like a south-facing window so they can get some sun in, or if you have a little light source that's coming over them, they'll be fine. And the more, they're pretty pest resistant and disease resistant, so they're pretty easy plant. Let the soil dry out a little bit, maybe about two. If you check and you stick your finger in and let the first 1.5 inches are dry, then you'll want to water them. And they'll be there for you for many, many years. And they do spread out too with time. Now, if they're in an area where they're not getting a lot of light, sometimes you may see them falling off a little bit in terms of not getting a lot of blooms. You can always add fertilizers like these. So these are some liquid fertilizers. But the main thing is to make sure that the NPK ratio, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, is 1 to 1 to 1. They're not heavy feeders, but if they're looking like, over the years go by, they really need some food, those are some good ones to get, and I'll link it in the description box. You can pick the one you like. So generally speaking, to get most of the blooms from lilies is to put them in an area that's, is good for their light needs. So most of them, as you can see, they prefer to get full sun, which is 6 to 8 hours of sunlight per day. When they have finished blooming, you'll want to go in and deadhead them and allow the leaves to get at least a pale green, I would say, so they have enough energy for the following year. You can add a slow release fertilizer to the ones that you grow in your garden, but be sure to do that like in the spring or summer, never in the fall, because you don't want it to suddenly start springing out and then, the plant gets burnt. So I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope you grow lots of lilies and enjoy them for many, many years. Thank you so much to our channel members, and for those of you that share our videos out with those that love gardening. And if you've never been on this channel before, I certainly hope you'll consider subscribing. Be sure to give us a thumbs up on the way out so that it can get sent out to others. We certainly appreciate you so much. So wish you a happy gardening season. Thanks for watching, and we do hope to see you in the next one. Take care.